I am Asa Garlic Reds, and about a month or so ago, I posted this video onto my Instagram and TikTok.
Every now and then.
And underneath it, I got a comment asking why I, at this point in my life, hate the Harry Potter series. I did respond to that comment with a comment of my own, but I thought it might be a good thing that I could go over on here because I have very much neglected this profile. So today, I basically show you the time lapses from a couple art fight attacks I've been doing, I have done, including D&D characters from a couple of my friends and other stuff. I have no idea which ones I'm putting in yet. But basically I'll be going over why I left the fandom and why I think it has made me feel a lot better. So getting into it, one of the main reasons why I left the fandom is a little obvious. J.K. Rowling as an author isn't someone whose content I particularly want to be associated with. If this isn't your first time seeing any of my content, you might know that up until the fall of 2022, I mainly posted Harry Potter content. You won't find a lot of it here because I don't have many videos up, and most of them are past that point. But if you look at my Instagram, my TikTok, my Tumblr, you will find a lot more Harry Potter content. Most of it is art or edits, but yeah, it was a big part of what I basically did on social media until the fall of 2022. And I made a post on my story about, like, after I left the fandom and thought it over, but that base was kind of like I've lost interest in it, and that was one of the reasons because I had found another interest, which was Animaniacs, which I'm still really into right now. But J.K. Rowling's first of all transphobia, second of all her constant additions onto the book series via Twitter and to like try and put, I don't know, quote unquote diversity into her books post the release. That bothered me a bit. And also, another reason was the fandom itself. I know that every fandom has its bad apples, but I remember seeing, like, the Harry Potter fandom is, I don't know if toxic is the right word to describe it, but that's going to be the word I'm using. I'm sorry if I'm using it in the wrong sort of context, but it's the best word that I could think of. So, to me, the Harry Potter fandom is a somewhat toxic fandom. Like, every fandom has toxic people in it. I know that very well. Um, but it does also have some really great people. I'm still mutuals with a couple people who occasionally have Harry Potter stuff go up. But I don't seek it out anymore, and a couple reasons for that is a lot of it is discourse over characters or ships. The amount of shipping wars I saw in that fandom have been way more than any other fandom I've ever been in, considering that was the first fandom I was really in. I started reading those books when I was 10 years old. I didn't start posting on social media till I was a little older, but for years I was in that fandom where people were basically being really rude to people over the two characters they shipped. And don't get me wrong, I don't care what people ship as long as it's not, first of all, illegal or any of that stuff. That is pretty obvious. But something that I can't get behind is being like, if it's a completely legal ship that has some evidence to back it up, or not, doesn't even have to have evidence actually. I don't really care if it has evidence behind it or not, but as long as it's not like illegal or anything, it or with a character who is explicitly has a sexuality or gender identity, like, I still don't think that you should headcanon a character who is like explicitly canonically straight with people of the same sex, because that's invalidating. Just like it would be if you shipped a canonically lesbian character with a man. But I'm not going to get into that whole thing. I'm going to continue talking about Harry Potter and the fandom surrounding it. So, with the topic of ships, hearing everyone have these stark opinions, it basically made me feel like I could only have like one ship option per character. And now I obviously don't believe that. I'm a multi shipper, guys. It's good to have it's good to be open-minded, at least, as long as it's legal. It's not like incest or anything like that. um and that obviously that's not legal, I think. I actually have no idea. I don't look into these things because I just know it's not very good. But back to what I was saying. I'm getting a little off the rails here. But I'm Yeah, the amount of people going head to head over ships was very um isn't a very good thing. That I Looking back on it, it's not something that I particularly agree with. Yes, every fandom is going to have its shipping wars, but in my opinion, the Harry Potter fandom has some of the worst ones that I've ever seen. Like, currently, one of my special interests and something that I'm really into right now is Percy Jackson. And yeah, there's a whole lot of ships in that series, but it's a lot more civil than what I saw at in the Harry Potter fandom. And kind of going off of that, not really actually, but the Harry Potter fandom was not, I don't think, the best place for me, at least, because yeah, it was a lot of separating the art from the artist. Um, but she was so involved in the series post release that it's harder to take from her and basically make it our own. But the one thing that I will give to the Harry Potter fandom is that they, as a community, created a whole separate fandom by its, like, that's basically a completely different entire series from Harry Potter. And of course, I'm talking about the Marauders. And I think it is absolutely amazing that people were able to take these characters and basically flesh them out to become their own thing. Like, they have their own fandom and all that. But something that carried on from the main Harry Potter fandom was the shipping discourse and shipping wars. The one that comes to mind, like the quickest, is James and Elaso jelly and Jegulus, which is James and Regulus. Let me get it out of the way that back in the day I liked both, and it's like the whole shipping war between the two ships was I I don't understand why it had to happen. But the thing is, ever since I left the Harry Potter fandom, I have been feeling a lot like happier. It if that counts for anything, but I still haven't been feeling the greatest in general. But that's being a teenager. But after leaving the fandom, I have noticed that I have been able to branch out more because for the 4 or 5 years I was in that fandom and reading those books, Harry Potter was basically the only book I would read. But since then, I have branched out a lot more. In 2023 alone, I read 24 new books. Yes, a good chunk of them were from the same author and same series, but I did also read stuff that was completely separate from that. And yeah, it was from some of them were from authors that I do like. Shout out to Sean McGuire because those her books are really good and I highly recommend them. But ever since I left the fandom, I have been feeling so much better. I have been able to branch out more and try more things. And I'm not exclusively posting one thing like I was 2 years ago. Because if you look back at like my Instagram or my Tumblr from 2022, there was probably like 1% of my posts that weren't related to Harry Potter because that was basically the only thing I would read. I was very close minded. But since then, I have been more open minded to more media. I have been watching new shows. I've been reading new books, watching new movies, not really playing new games, but I have been learning more and more about other fandoms and other series that honestly are so much better for me as a person than Harry Potter was. And I should have said this at the beginning of the video, but I really couldn't care less if you still like Harry Potter, just as long as you know who wrote it and what the fandom can and will entail if you go into it. These are just my experiences and how I interpreted things as a young teenager in one of the biggest fandoms, actually, that I've noticed. Harry Potter is still an extremely big fandom and one of the biggest ones that I've ever seen. And the thing is, it took me almost half a year to properly, I don't know, cleanse my social media feeds from including Harry Potter content. I still get some from time to time, but that's what I can expect from algorithms and that sort of thing, from people I follow still, or but I unfollowed all the Harry Potter accounts that I followed back then, but that doesn't mean I unfollowed like mutuals I had because I just don't like unfollowing my mutuals until they unfollow me first. Because I still like supporting people that I may not be in the same fandom as anymore. Even if I'm not interested in it, I still want to support them, especially if they're artists because I think it's good for artists to support other artists. Um, like especially like yeah. I don't know what happened there. I kind of just like brain farted. But that's about all I have to say, actually. If you want to see any of this art that you saw, basically the speed paints for in the background of me talking, all my social medias are linked in the description in my link tree. And I will see you whenever I see you next, whenever I upload. I have a TikTok compilation slating to go up at some point. I tried to upload it today, but it was staying at 78% for like 6 hours. So I might try uploading that in like a month because I'm making this one for July, and I am starting school again in a little bit, so I don't know how much I'll be able to post then. It might just be a lot more TikTok compilations. But like I said, I'm going to try, but I don't know how heavy my workload is going to be this year. But I hope you have a great rest of your day, night, evening, wherever the hell you are in the world. I just hope you're having a good life, basically. Don't forget to, like, if you want, subscribe, like, check me out on other social medias.